Someone recently asked me on one of my shorts videos how I make my animation so smooth. So here's kind of a mini tutorial on what I do for my animations. First off, it's the simple stuff. For example, what program do I use and what do I use to draw? For my frame-by-frame animations, I use Flip-a-Clip for an iPhone. Yes, I draw on my iPhone with my finger. I've also done tweening with A-Light Motion before using IBIS Paint X to draw for the free version. I use 1920 times 1080 for YouTube Shorts animation, and I use 1280 times 720 for the video format. You may want to go for more pixels if you have your own animation app, but that's just the default for Flip-a-Clip. For my videos, I use a light gray background and I also use 12 FPS. I find it helpful that I have many series of works and I'll make the background the same color for each one so it's easily identifiable. For example, I have a DSMP AU which has a dark purple background, and for all my self-insert or OC animations, I like to use gray. Now onto the actual animation part. First off, I start with a sketch. I like to lip sync in this layer and match up all my movements with the music. I sometimes find that I don't have enough new movements to match with the music, and I constantly have to go back and think of more things to add to the animation to make it look more lively. So it's better to have more things to add than less things to add, because you will probably only end up adding more things and less taking away things, unless it's too complicated for you to draw. It helps in the stage if you know human anatomy well, so you can continuously draw body movements without having to look at yourself or model or take reference pictures. In the stage, I'll constantly be referring back to my own body for movement. I may walk around, look at myself, walk around in the mirror, look at my hands, see how they move, and other things as well just help me with the animation sketch stage. My second stage is to go over it and see how well the movements match up with the audio, timing, and lip syncing. I'll also see if it looks better if I make the frame slower or if I make the frame faster, and if it has a good pace overall. If I'm making a higher action animation that I've currently not done yet because it takes a lot of time and effort, I have to make sure all my transitions are well done and that they make sense. Motion is also a very important step to this stage, where you can't have your character feel like they put in too less motion into an action, but it can't be too much either. Some tips for this stage is to use different colors for things that move. For example, my sketch may be using black, but an arm that moves may change the color to be green. Another character may be red, but have an orange arm for when they interact with the first character. My second stage is line art. This is usually what takes me the longest because I'm basically just tracing over my old art, but for every single frame. This is also personally the most boring stage for me because it is the longest and most tedious, but you do get a more finished look if you do line art. I also do what is known as wiggle animation, which saves me a lot of time. This is where you have one still frame and then you trace over it 2 or 3 times, and then you repetitively play that so it looks like the character is moving. In reality, it's just 3 frames that are being looped over each other. In between 2 poses, they stay still and I use wiggle animation, but there will be some parts where I have to draw frame by frame. This part is made easier with a refined sketch, so make sure your sketch isn't too messy. And it also helps if you color code your sketch, as I listed before, because during the frame by frame movement stage, a colored sketch does help a lot. Finally, I just rewatch it and look for mistakes, and to be honest, I skip this stage a lot because by this stage, I've probably already been working on this animation for at least 3 weeks, at most 3 months. That's probably if I've lost motivation during the middle. This stage is, for example, all the shadows underneath the eyes or eyebrows if I missed any, and any small details, or if I had to redraw part of the hair in the front, or anything like that. Basically, that's just my animation process, and the whole thing takes either from 1 month to half a year, but I haven't done many huge projects yet. Hope this helped.